Last time on Arcmage streamer.
Emma asked Jackie if he had ever met Park Young-joon from the Rising Star channel, who was from the Wharton School. Jackie confirmed that he knew Park Young-joon as they were colleagues in Wharton School. Emma suggested that they approach Rising Star to dig up information about BJ Arcmage, but Jackie hesitated and shared that Park Young-joon was different back in their Wharton School days. He explained that Park was exceptionally skilled at recognizing people's talents, and had even sponsored the Arcmage before he became famous. Therefore, approaching him ambiguously would not yield any information. Emma thought to herself that the Arcmage must have some information about the scenario, but she needed to figure out how to extract it. She felt responsible for ensuring that BJ Arcmage did not go on a rampage alone and that the scenario did not end up in the hands of someone who did not understand its value. She then called someone called Merlin and asked to meet up to talk about the situation. Wigga commended HyeonWoo for defeating the boss by himself. HyeonWoo learned from Wigga that Sakhaline had left everything to him and had gone home. Wigga expressed his desire to give something to HyeonWoo, as he was the one who worked hard for the well-being of the city. As the city's ruler, Wigga believed that it was only natural to give HyeonWoo what he deserved. HyeonWoo was thrilled when Wigga offered him a reward for his hard work. However, he was confused when Wigga handed him Wygar's cane instead of the expected white cane. Wigga then transformed the appearance of the staff, turning it into Wygar's white cane. HyeonWoo learned that the cane could increase the number of spells he could cast simultaneously by one, making it a valuable tool for his future battles. Wigga shared that he used to use the Wygar's white cane when he was a child and now, it belonged to HyeonWoo because of the value he saw in him. He then asked HyeonWoo if he would be willing to hear his request. HyeonWoo agreed, stating that he would do anything for the city of Wagar. HyeonWoo received a new quest from the main scenario category but decided to look into the details later. He instead focused on looking at the white cane's ability to increase the number of spells he could cast and was delighted to confirm that it wasn't just an illusion. HyeonWoo realized that the option could overlap with his current skills, allowing him to triple cast spells if combined with his double casting skill. He also learned that the option was first discovered by Esmo in God Wars but was attached to a level 150 item, whereas HyeonWoo obtained it before reaching level 50. HyeonWoo excitedly contemplated the potential popularity his next video would receive with this new item. He then noticed that both Lucky and Gold have a quest. The Forest of Giants is a challenging hunting ground near the city of Wagar, characterized by dense, towering trees. The forest is considered the most difficult in the area, and those who complete the quest here are able to progress to the next location. As a result, it is also referred to as the Graduation Forest. HyeonWoo knows that they will be leaving the city of Wagar after completing the quest in the Forest of Giants. The next destination is the Kingdom of Tunga, which is only accessible through warp magic. Once they leave, it will be challenging to return due to the balance system in place that prevents higher-level players from interfering with lower-level hunting grounds. HyeonWoo wanted to be fully prepared as they may encounter high-level users once they arrive in the Kingdom of Tunga. HyeonWoo felt relieved when Gold and Lucky's quest appeared before they used the warp. But his relief was short-lived as he discovered the conditions they had to fulfill to complete it. To finish the quest, Lucky had to slay 5,678 monsters that were above his level, and Gold had to hunt down 5,555 monsters, leaving HyeonWoo feeling frustrated. Tgar is the boss monster of the Forest of Giants, which appears as a medium-sized monster with a height of 3 to 4 meters. It has the ability to camouflage itself as a normal tree, making it difficult to distinguish from its surroundings. HyeonWoo expresses concern over catching 5,000 monsters, given the small population of medium-sized creatures, and the added pressure of a live stream about Wygar's white cane. HyeonWoo decided to start the main quest, which involves finding Tamaru, and rewards him with a rare skill card book. As he walked, he witnessed the party shoot a fruit down from a tree, only for the tree to suddenly come to life and attack them. Their tank struggles to fend off the attack, while the rest of the party complains about their dislike for the Forest of Giants. HyeonWoo reflects that his ability to see hidden information is akin to a cheat, as it allows him to easily identify camouflaged Tgar trees, avoiding the fate of the party who was attacked by the tree. He realizes that his ability gives him a significant advantage in navigating the Forest of Giants. As HyeonWoo continues on his quest to find Tamaru, an elf suddenly appears before him, introducing himself as Tamaru. Tamaru mentions that he has already heard of HyeonWoo, and compliments him on his abilities, referencing Wagar as a talented individual. However, HyeonWoo humbly dismisses Tamaru's praise, to which Tamaru reassures him that his ability to locate Tamaru amidst the dangers of the Forest of Giants is proof of his capabilities. Tamaru then gave him the rare skill book reward and told him to follow. As HyeonWoo followed Tamaru, he obtained several titles, including one that was typically only available in higher-level areas. This particular title increased his intelligence by 15 points. HyeonWoo was content with his progress and felt satisfied with the rewards he had received. Tamaru asks HyeonWoo if he knows about Tgars, to which HyeonWoo responds that they are monsters that disguise themselves as trees. However, Tamaru explains that Tgars are not monsters disguised as trees, but rather, through some unknown and strange power, trees are turning into monsters. Additionally, Tamaru mentions that variants of Tgars have begun to appear, which are splintered monsters that he has never seen before. HyeonWoo realizes that this must be why the quest is called the Wild Forest, and believes that the unknown power must refer to the power of the nameless god. HyeonWoo asks Tamara how many Tkars there will be if a mutated Tkar splits, to which Tamara explains that there was a case where it split into more than 10. However, he also mentions that the more a Tkar splits, the smaller it becomes, and it is a troublesome task. Tamara urges HyeonWoo to take care of the mutated Tkars before their numbers increase, and informs him that over 500 of them have been isolated within the inner areas of the forest. HyeonWoo was assigned the main scenario quest to eradicate all the mutated Tkars in the Wild Forest region. He felt pleased as he hadn't anticipated that he could hunt down 5,000 creatures with ease, and he accepted the quest happily. In the Rising Star office, the assistant informed CEO Park that they had purchased 3 of the mentioned skills. During the conversation, the assistant mentioned rumors circulating in the Secretary Association about the Abyss Guild investigating BJ Archmage's background. Jung was surprised by this news and commented on how BJ Archmage must be a bigger player than previously thought. Jung received a call from Jackie who asked about BJ Archmage. Jung wondered if Jackie had joined the Abyss Guild, as it was the only reason for such a large guild to keep an eye on BJ Archmage. However, he acknowledged that BJ Archmage's actions were on a different level compared to other players, despite not being a member of any of the top 10 guilds. Despite this, he carried the burden of being the talk of the town. Jung declined to provide any information and apologized, stating that it was private. He then ended the conversation by suggesting that they hang up. Jung speculated that since the Abyss Guild was resorting to contacting them to reach BJ Archmage, it meant that they had no other means of communication with BJ Archmage. He believed that BJ Archmage had no intention of collaborating with any of the top 10 guilds, which made him uneasy about letting go of such a big opportunity. When the assistant asked for his plan, Jung decided to send an email to BJ Archmage, offering a 1-year contract for all his videos and live streams with a 9-to-1 profit distribution. Hyukju and HyeonWoo were engaged in a conversation when HyeonWoo received a message that caught him by surprise. He quickly logged into the game and checked the 3 skills sent by Rising Star. HyeonWoo noted that he received the same skills again but noticed that the email contained details that seemed to pressure him into revealing the true identity of Wygar's White Cane. Realizing this, HyeonWoo felt compelled to comply with the demand. HyeonWoo began a live stream and thought to himself that Wygar's White Cane was a unique item that had never before been seen in God Wars. He also contemplated using the cane to hunt a monster that had never been seen before in God Wars, and that this event would be streamed live as well. As the stream began, the chat was already buzzing with excitement. HyeonWoo proceeded to reveal Wygar's White Cane, and announced that he had come to keep his promise to showcase the item's attributes. He also mentioned that he had prepared a special monster to demonstrate the cane's capabilities. The monster chosen for the demonstration was a Tkar, which initially received comments from the chat that it was a common monster. However, to everyone's surprise, the Tkar suddenly broke apart into multiple monsters. HyeonWoo then informed the viewers that he would not be able to respond to chat messages for a while, as he would be focusing on casting skills. HyeonWoo proceeded to cast 3 skills, which surprised the viewers. After successfully completing the attribute verification process, he asked if there was anything else that needed explaining. He then mentioned that since he had revealed all the attributes of the new weapon, he was thinking of ending the live stream. The viewers expressed their interest in seeing some mob hunting, which caused HyeonWoo to reconsider ending the stream. He obliged the viewers and started attacking a splintered Tkar. As he continued the hunt, he received donations from the viewers. HyeonWoo then thought to himself about the profit distribution of 9-to-1, and realized that he could keep all the income, so he should work hard on his live streams. He also decided to properly thank the president for this. After successfully killing a group of Tkar, HyeonWoo decided to end the stream, much to the disappointment of the viewers. He knew that continuing to hunt similar mobs would become repetitive and boring, so he decided to wrap up the stream. He promised to the viewers that he will show more hunting videos on the Rising Star channel and ended the stream. After the live stream ended, Jung suggested sending a message to HyeonWoo to commend him on his excellent performance. The assistant then asked if Jung had anticipated the content of the live stream, which featured a new weapon and a new monster. Jung confirmed that he had predicted the content, which was why he had offered HyeonWoo a 9-to-1 profit distribution. Jung weighed the potential of HyeonWoo, and how he saw him as a real talent with the ability to become a brilliant star, especially since the Abyss Guild was interested in him. When asked about why the live stream ended early, Jung explained that HyeonWoo ended it because Asmo didn't show up, and there was no need to prolong the stream without anyone to spice things up. He expressed the need to edit the stream and move on, as they would be sharing their joy and sorrow with BJ Archmage for the next year. As HyeonWoo continued hunting monsters, the people are engaged in a discussion about BJ Archmage's recent stream. HyeonWoo pondered whether the stream had caused any reactions, considering how popular it had become. He assumed that even the top guilds must be feeling nervous about it, and that more PKs were being sent out than before. While HyeonWoo was engaged in combat and slaying a monster, he noticed that his pet, Gold, had completed a quest, which had increased its loyalty and also granted it a new ability. HyeonWoo immediately directed Gold's attention back to the battle, and at the same time, Lucky also charged forward to join in. With HyeonWoo casting a lightning bolt and Lucky dealing the finishing blow, they successfully defeated the monster, which also completed Lucky's evolution quest. while HyeonWoo leveled up to 50 and received a skill card book. Excitement filled HyeonWoo as he prepared to unlock 3 new skills for himself and his companions. Starting with gold, he successfully obtained the giantization skill, which allowed him to enlarge his body and enhance his attack and defense capabilities. HyeonWoo knew that this skill was usually reserved for top-class tanks, and suggested that gold may be the only guardian with this skill. HyeonWoo realized that not only was giantization a valuable skill, but loyalty was also a crucial aspect for guardians. He acknowledged that this information was unique and only known to him in God Wars. HyeonWoo then considered the potential impact of revealing this information through a broadcast, as he believed that it would cause the number of views to skyrocket. HyeonWoo proceeded to choose a skill for lucky and successfully obtained Cheers of War, also known as the War Howling skill. This skill had gained notoriety in the God Wars community after being used in a fierce guild battle as a large-scale buff that improved the stats of all party members. The owner of the legendary beast Smarty, Rappo of the Immortal Guild, was the first to unveil this skill during the battle, which resulted in an overwhelming victory for his guild. HyeonWoo couldn't help but feel satisfied with how smoothly everything was going. He thought to himself that a legendary card might even come out for him with this kind of luck. HyeonWoo cheered to the possibility of 3 legendary cards in a row. HyeonWoo opened a skill book and saw a unique skill called Fire Step that burns the ground where he steps. He thinks it would be useful against PK players, but it consumes too much mana and he can't use it yet because he still relies on mana potions for recovery. He realizes he needs a mana recovery skill and is willing to spend money on auctions to acquire one. He then saw Tamaru arrive, which praised him for exterminating all the mutated Tugars and gave him a unique skill book as a reward. HyeonWoo is excited about the possibility of getting a unique grade skill card, but decides not to get his hopes up too high. He knows that even though he can see the content of the cards, the skill card he gets from a skill book is still randomly selected. Upon opening the skill book, HyeonWoo discovered the Mana Recovery Field skill, which reduces mana consumption as long as the user is not moving. Excitedly, HyeonWoo realized that this was the perfect skill for him, as it would allow him to continuously use his attack skills without worrying about running out of mana. He noted that it worked under the same conditions as the Ballista skill, and declared it to be the most efficient skill for his needs. After acquiring the skill, Tamaru informed HyeonWoo that he noticed something unusual in the surrounding area. HyeonWoo guessed that Tamaru wanted him to catch a boss monster. However, Tamaru clarified that he was referring to a strange transformation that had taken place in the Vil tree. HyeonWoo was surprised by this request since the Vil tree was a significant and imposing tree in the forest. He doubted his ability to catch such a powerful monster at his current level. Nonetheless, Tamaru revealed that he needed HyeonWoo's help to eliminate the mutated Viltgar. HyeonWoo was given the main scenario quest to destroy Viltgar, a mutated Vil tree. However, he was doubtful of his abilities as he was only at level 50 and the size of Viltgar required at least a party of 10 pro-level players. He thought to himself that without his cheat grade ability, he would not be able to handle this alone. HyeonWoo is considering whether the Mana Recovery Field skill will allow him to worry less about mana. However, he realizes that he will still need mana recovery potions and the money to buy them. While walking outside, HyeonWoo realizes that he has been spending too much money recently and his preparation budget is insufficient. He contemplates taking out loans to buy items but feels it is wrong. He also understands that he cannot keep postponing the live broadcast day after day. HyeonWoo receives a message from the Rising Star channel reminding him of settlement day and is surprised to see that he received $25,000. He plans to send a thank you email to the channel, but while walking, he accidentally bumps into a woman causing her to fall over. The woman becomes panicked when her cap falls off, and as she tries to retrieve it, her hand touches HyeonWoo's when he also reaches for his phone. She then hurriedly put her cap back on and left. And he wondered if she saw the content of the mail. Lee Seol is always indoors due to social anxiety and spends most of her time playing games. However, in the game God Wars, she is known as the Muse of the Abyss Guild and is praised, making her feel like she is living a different life. The game has become a second reality for her. Upon logging into the game, Merlin informs Lee Seol that Emma wants the members of the Abyss Guild to keep a close eye on BJ Arcmage, who is considered a dangerous person and a threat to the guild's survival. Lee Seol thinks to herself that if even Emma is talking about him, then he must be truly dangerous. In the Rising Star office, the assistant comments on the unprecedented profits even after settlement with the players under contract. Jung suggests going out for a company dinner, which excites the staff. However, the atmosphere changes when the assistant informs them of a message from BJ Arcmage, thanking them for the settlement. Jung emphasizes the significance of BJ Arcmage's message, as he possesses rare items and hunts monsters that even the top guilds have never encountered. He decides to bring in the video production team to document this event on a larger scale, and the staff is asked to work overtime. The company dinner is postponed for later. People were discussing BJ Arcmage's new video and were surprised by the high-quality production. Meanwhile, HyeonWoo was also watching the video and had some thoughts to himself. He found it strange that the video was uploaded earlier than announced, and wondered if this was a tactic to urge him to show his own preparations sooner. HyeonWoo realized that if he was going to go on a raid, he would need to spend a significant amount of money on potions, which caused him some concern. He then saw Asmo's comment on BJ Archmage's video. Asmo mentioned that he was unable to watch the previous live stream due to being busy and urged BJ Archmage to do another broadcast soon so that he could watch it. Asmo also promised to make it worth BJ Archmage's while. HyeonWoo was taken by surprise, prompting him to log into the game immediately. Upon entering the Berserk Forest, he estimated the distance between himself and the Biltreant as it began to move. Excited by the prospect of encountering a massive monster, HyeonWoo reminisced about his past experience with such creatures. Although he acknowledged the Biltreant's impressive HP, he also noted that its size affected its movement speed, which he expected to work in his favor during combat. HyeonWoo observed that the Biltreant had 3 phases, a common characteristic of boss monsters. He noted that the creature had a self-destruct mechanism triggered when its HP falls below 10%. After getting ready, HyeonWoo began his live stream. He announced his intention to defeat the new boss monster, Biltreant, and showed the boss monster to the viewers. The viewers were surprised by the monster's size and some of them doubted if HyeonWoo could kill it. HyeonWoo consumed potions that boosted his stats and activated a mana recovery field. He attacked the boss by throwing various skills, such as fireballs, ice balls, and lightning balls, which surprised his viewers with his range. As the battle dragged on, HyeonWoo eventually ran out of mana and had to drink a potion. He expressed his frustration about the lack of mana in mage class characters, regardless of the game they played. The boss started closing in on him. Lucky then used his skill which diverted the boss's attention toward him. This caused the boss to enter its second phase, where its branches transformed into trance. Despite the viewers' concern about the situation, Gold arrived to protect HyeonWoo from the trance. HyeonWoo ordered Gold to use his gigantification skill, allowing him to grow in size and strength. Asmo joined the live stream and donated a large sum of money, expressing surprise that Guardians could use the skill. HyeonWoo continued to unleash a barrage of skills on the boss. HyeonWoo noticed that the excitement level of the live stream had increased significantly, and suggested that it was time to take things up a notch. Asmo responded by making another $10,000 donation and commented that he would donate more if the entertainment continued. HyeonWoo asked Lucky to come over, which confused the viewers. Meanwhile, Asmo made another donation of $1,000 and commented on the talkative nature of HyeonWoo's guardian. HyeonWoo acknowledged Asmo's comment. The boss monster made its way to HyeonWoo, who took out an axe and prepared to use it to finish the boss. However, the boss suddenly triggered its self-destruct mechanism. HyeonWoo survived the explosion, thanks to Gold, who blocked the damage. Disappointed, HyeonWoo expressed his frustration at not being able to finish off the boss with his planned physical magic. HyeonWoo believed that everything went according to plan. He assumed that no one would suspect that he had prior knowledge about the boss's self-destruct mechanism. After completing the quest, HyeonWoo leveled up twice. He noticed that the number of viewers had reached 120,000 and decided to wrap up the stream. HyeonWoo thanked the viewers for watching, acknowledging that the climax may have been a bit underwhelming. Asmo commented that it was still worth watching and donated $20,000. Merlin and Emma, members of the Abyss Guild, discussed their current situation. Merlin expressed his concerns about their progress, while Emma disagreed and believed that things had become easier for them. She explained that Arcmage streamer had made himself a trophy by exposing his weaknesses on his live stream, which could instantly grant anyone fame by hunting him down. Additionally, Arcmage streamer lacked mana and was not under the Explorer Guild's VIP protection service. Emma suggested that they aim for an opening to get a lead on the scenario from him. Merlin agreed and proposed that they prepare their guild members by starting new characters and catching up to Arcmage streamer from level 1. Emma trusted that the Abyss Guild's authority and financial power would make it possible for them to prepare a class that's proportionate to the Arcmage class. After successfully killing the Biltreant, HyeonWoo acknowledged that he would not have succeeded without the help of Lucky and Gold. He then checked the titles and rewards that he received for completing the main quest. HyeonWoo was pleased to see that the Biltreant Hunter title gave him a bonus to all stats by 20 points, while the other title gave him an additional 29 points to his health. He expected to receive many items for defeating such a massive boss monster. HyeonWoo opened his inventory and was disappointed to see that he only received 2 items. The items were the Biltreant's treasure, and he wondered if he had missed any other items during the battle. HyeonWoo couldn't help but feel disappointed, considering the size of the monster he had taken down, which was also ranked as unique. Despite his disappointment at the number of items received for defeating the Biltreant, HyeonWoo opened one of the Biltreant's treasures and obtained a Biltreant root staff. However, he immediately expressed his disinterest in the item and remarked to himself that it was not valuable to him. HyeonWoo's primary concern was finding items that he could exchange or trade to earn money, which he could use to buy food. Upon discovering that the Biltreant root staff was tradable, HyeonWoo initially considered selling the item. However, his decision was influenced when he saw the options that increased mana regeneration amount and speed, which surprised him. Suddenly, Tamaru arrived and expressed surprise that HyeonWoo was able to defeat the mutant. HyeonWoo then hid the staff, and reminded himself to remain focused on finishing the main quest. He was more interested in the legendary rank reward that he would receive for completing the main quest, as he had invested a lot of time and effort into it. As HyeonWoo anticipated the reward for completing the main quest, he was suddenly ambushed by the nameless god's power. This surprised Taemaru. HyeonWoo felt immense pressure from the attack, which was unlike anything he had experienced in God Wars. He was surprised that a game over screen had not appeared yet. However, he soon realized that his HP was decreasing rapidly, and started to panic, fearing that he would die in the game. Just as HyeonWoo feared for his life, the dragon egg that he possessed suddenly shone and absorbed the nameless god's power. HyeonWoo was amazed as he saw the hatching progress of the egg increase by 3%. Taemaru noticed the egg's reaction and expressed surprise, as he was not aware that HyeonWoo was in possession of such an item. He advised HyeonWoo to speak about it in detail with Sir Wiga, who was waiting outside. After exiting the berserk forest, HyeonWoo was greeted by Wiga, who noticed the seriousness of his expression. HyeonWoo revealed that he had taken down the mutated Biltree but was then ambushed by the power of the nameless god, which attempted to kill him. He attributed his survival to an egg, which he believed was designed to prevent players from jumping into the game without completing the necessary quests. Wiga informed HyeonWoo that he had received a letter from Tuna Kingdom, where similar incidents had occurred. Mutant monsters had appeared, and the power of the nameless god had emerged, ambushing people. Those who had confronted the power had all died, but HyeonWoo was still alive. Wiga requested that HyeonWoo investigate the situation in Tuna Kingdom, and someone would come to find him once he arrived. Wiga rewarded HyeonWoo with a legendary skill card book after requesting him to investigate the situation in Tuna Kingdom. HyeonWoo also received the main quest scenario, which required him to meet the person who had sent the letter from Tuna Kingdom. After receiving the rewards, HyeonWoo opened the treasure of the Biltreans. He had already received a staff from the first treasure, which had a normal stat, but excellent mana regeneration effects. He believed that using the staff alongside the mana recovery shield would solve the problem of running out of mana. He also noted that telekinesis made switching between the two items easy. HyeonWoo believed that the unique staff he had received from the Biltreans treasure was valuable, and should sell for a price similar to a legendary ranked item. He had already chosen a staff from the first treasure, and was contemplating what weapon he should choose next. HyeonWoo considered the monsters he would face in Tuna Kingdom, and realized they were centaurs. He thought about swapping his guardian's appearance and skills with those of a centaur, and equipping it with a spear. HyeonWoo decided to choose the spear as his next weapon and planned to start a live stream showcasing never-seen-before weapons. After advertising the weapons, he planned to put them up for auction. HyeonWoo then took out the legendary skill card book and hoped to get the Draconic Mana skill. Upon opening the book, he was ecstatic to see the Draconic Mana skill card and was overjoyed at his good fortune. Gold asked HyeonWoo about their next destination. HyeonWoo responded by saying that they were not going to another hunting ground. He explained that the maximum level in Tuna Castle was 100 and that if he warped there with his level 50 body, he would be attacked by level 100 players. Therefore, he believed it would be foolish to go there at this point. He planned to take advantage of the current hunting ground as much as possible. HyeonWoo reflected on the events of the past few days outside of the game. He remembered getting the mana recovery field, Draconic Mana, Biltrean Root Staff, Curse Necklace, and Sakaline's Ring. He thought to himself that his mana regeneration was so incredible that it was hard to run out of mana. HyeonWoo heard Hyukchu's voice and listened as he spoke about obtaining information through a special route. According to Hyukchu, the top 10 guilds had all partnered together and placed a bounty on Arcmage streamer's head. However, people were skeptical about his claim. Hyukchu insisted that he was telling the truth and that the reward for recording oneself killing Arcmage streamer by PK was $100,000, with no exceptions. HyeonWoo was shocked and even spat out his drink upon hearing this news. Hyukchu claimed that this had happened because Arcmage streamer had provoked the guilds by saying something along the lines of, "Give me your best shot." HyeonWoo is frustrated and confused about rumors that he provoked the top 10 guilds, and suspects that his acquaintance, Hyukchu, may be behind it. His thoughts are interrupted by a phone call from his brother, Taewoo, who asks about his well-being. HyeonWoo reassures his brother that he is eating well and advises him to focus on his own health instead of worrying about him. HyeonWoo reflects that he has been too absorbed in streaming and completing quests, and realizes that he hasn't spent much time with Hyeon and his brother, Taewoo. He tells Taewoo that he received his paycheck and offers to buy Hyeon anything she wants with the money he earned legally. He also promises to return home early in the afternoon. HyeonWoo entered a store and attempted to ignore the rumors that were circulating about him. As he walked, he accidentally bumped into a woman, causing his phone to fall and break. The woman apologized, and they recognized each other from a previous encounter. Hyukchu laughed when he heard the story of how HyeonWoo's phone broke, but HyeonWoo explained that they had already talked and reached a settlement. HyeonWoo also mentioned that it was the woman's fault this time. Hyukchu teases HyeonWoo about running into the same woman twice, saying that it must be destiny. HyeonWoo disagrees, saying he's just unlucky. Hyukchu then brings up the fact that they exchange numbers, but HyeonWoo shuts him down, stating that his phone screen is more important than any potential romance. Hyukchu informs HyeonWoo about new information related to Arcmage streamer and the top 10 guilds, revealing that they are preparing for a face-off. He mentions that Arcmage streamer is farming non-stop at the Forest of Giants for the upcoming battle. HyeonWoo seems uninterested in the news and questions where Hyukchu is getting his information from. In the Rising Star office, Jung discusses the upcoming face-off between the top 10 guilds and Arcmage streamer with his assistant. The assistant questions whether the rumor is true, but Jung insists that it will become the truth, as Arcmage streamer has no intention of staying on friendly terms with the guilds. Jung believes that Arcmage streamer wants the guilds to become hostile towards him in order to increase his viewership. He predicts a conflict between Arcmage streamer and the guilds in the next area, Tuna Kingdom, and acknowledges that they will have to pay a price to be a part of the action. However, the assistant doubts that Arcmage streamer will use the majority of the skills they are offering him and questions whether it will mean anything to him. Jung shows something to his assistant and suggests that a person who is driving recklessly needs additional airbags. HyeonWoo hunted Trance with Lucky and Gold until he reached level 60, and equipped the black Trance set which boosted his stats and damage. He also gave the same set to Gold, making Lucky jealous. HyeonWoo then acquired a skill card book from leveling up and obtained the Recycle skill, which he had never seen before. HyeonWoo understood the new skill called Recycle, which had the ability to recover HP by consuming MP or recover MP by losing HP. He questioned the usefulness of the skill in comparison to healing spells or buying a new shield-type skill. He considered the possibility of using the mana shield as his mana was overflowing, which could potentially offer better defensive capabilities than his current lightning shield. He also noted that as an Arcmage, he had the ability to learn any spell that was available. Mana shield was described as a skill that creates a protective shield using mana, with each hit on the shield consuming mana. HyeonWoo pondered the idea of combining the Recycle skill with the mana shield, as it would not only absorb damage but also potentially recover his health. However, he noted that the mana shield skill card was quite expensive, costing over $15,000, which presented a challenge. HyeonWoo logged out of the game and logged back in to check the mana shield skills sent by Rising Star. He cheered and saluted the boss of the Rising Star channel. Tuna Kingdom is a location in a game accessible only through a warp in Wiggus Town after graduating from the Forest of Giants. It's considered the primary stage for mid-level players, with a central castle as the reference point, surrounded by 4 castles in the north, east, south, and west. Players initially encounter the West Castle after passing through the warp magic. In games, latecomers often fall behind veterans who have already established themselves and are affiliated with powerful guilds. This makes it easier for veterans to grow and receive support, which is why the Arcmage streamer gained a lot of interest and became a hot topic. HyeonWoo arrived at Tuna Kingdom and was immediately recognized by the crowd, who began to make assumptions about his next actions. HyeonWoo announced that he would be open to taking pictures with everyone. After taking a photo with HyeonWoo, the crowd shifted their attention towards Gold and Lucky, which left him feeling frustrated. However, HyeonWoo remained focused on his goal and thought to himself that things were still progressing as planned. He hoped that the fake rumors about him provoking the top 10 guilds would settle down with this. For him, the main priority was the quest related to the main scenario, and he didn't want to be distracted by false rumors. While HyeonWoo was ending the event, the Sneeko company was observing and decided that it was time to teach the BJ Arcmage a lesson. As HyeonWoo emerged from the city, the Sneeko guild approached him, asking to take a photo. HyeonWoo noticed that they were from the Sneeko guild and that Nakato was fully buffed, revealing their intention to attack him. Despite this, he agreed to their request. Nakato then asked if HyeonWoo had changed his staff, to which he replied that he had and that it was better for beating up people like them. The Sneeko guild was surprised when they realized that HyeonWoo had known their intentions from the start. Despite this, they attacked him with confidence, believing that it was too late for HyeonWoo to retaliate. Nakato commented that regardless of HyeonWoo's items, he was still just a mage and wouldn't be able to survive long against close-range attacks. As they continued their attack, the Sneeko guild became confused as to why HyeonWoo wasn't resisting. It was then that they noticed that their reinforcements had already been killed by Gold and Lucky. HyeonWoo commented that it seemed like the PKers were quite surprised. HyeonWoo remained unaffected by the Sneeko guild's attacks due to his mana shield. He then proceeded to start a live stream. HyeonWoo acknowledged that the sudden stream may have surprised some people who were looking forward to his first stream in Tuna Kingdom. He explained that he had run into some boring people who kept trying to ambush him. To combat this, he had changed his strategy and become a tanker. HyeonWoo challenged the Sneeko guild, saying that if they somehow managed to kill him, he would invest $100,000 into their guild. HyeonWoo, while under attack, muses to himself about the weakness of mages in close combat, even in games like God Wars. He had anticipated the attacker's strategy of trying to get close to him, but he is hesitant to use Lucky of Gold, as it could potentially put his companion at risk. Instead, he decides to take on the role of a tank and become the target, putting himself in harm's way to protect his ally. HyeonWoo taunts the attackers, who are members of the Sneeko guild, while Nakato is bewildered about how HyeonWoo was able to identify them. Lucky and Gold appear on the scene and eliminate the assailants. HyeonWoo then rates the defeated players at 37 points, causing confusion among the viewers. He clarifies that it's their rating and proceeds to loot them. HyeonWoo is considering which items to take and decides that if he takes only the best items, he might be suspected. As a result, he chooses to be cautious and takes the Triantwood shield, Centaur main robe, and Tuna's sword. HyeonWoo notes to himself that the PKers have paused their activities since a famous guild was defeated. He decides to move forward with his next plan and suggests to the viewers that merely ending the stream here will not be sufficient. He proposes putting on a show, saying that since they have come to see a mage, they should witness some magic. HyeonWoo chooses to put on a show to intimidate other players who are targeting him. He uses multiple skills to defeat a centaur that was charging towards him, and continues to attack. Observing players are puzzled as they see him using skills without appearing to run low on mana. Viewers of his stream also notice this and recall that in his last stream, HyeonWoo had to consume thousands of dollars worth of potions to maintain his mana levels. HyeonWoo killed the last centaur required to allow him to summon a centaur guardian. He ends the stream despite viewers wanting more, as he believes revealing his full power may not be wise. He then summoned the centaur guardian and he equips his centaur guardian with a Treant root spear before Gold expresses gratitude towards him. HyeonWoo then states that he wanted to test Gold's ability but decides to prioritize progressing the main quest as quickly as possible, while his pursuers are less active. He announces that they need to head to the West Castle immediately. Upon reaching the East Watchtower within the West Castle, HyeonWoo is greeted by Zagara, the lord of the castle. HyeonWoo is surprised to meet a castellan from the beginning and expresses his honor to meet him. Zagara informs him that his soldiers have lost their lives to an unknown power and requests that HyeonWoo investigate the source of this power since he has survived it. HyeonWoo is also curious about the power that almost took his life. Zagara requested HyeonWoo to identify the source of the unknown power, and swears on his name that the reward will match his accomplishment. HyeonWoo receives the main scenario quest to investigate the restricted area, with a legendary skill card book as a reward. He is surprised to see an additional reward of a master skill book, but only if he completes the quest without dying. A master skill book is a highly valuable item in the game as it allows a player to instantly raise the rank of one of their skills to master. Achieving mastery in a skill requires a significant amount of time and effort, so the master skill book is highly sought after by players who want to avoid that process. Lee Seol arrives in Miami and thought that she had instructed the guild members to avoid calling her for direct meetups. She wonders how important the announcement must be for them to gather at the guild headquarters. She speculates whether it could be a new raid strategy or a reorganization of the guild. Lee Seol receives a message from HyeonWoo informing her that he already fixed the phone and doesn't require any compensation. She felt bad for causing trouble, and she considers sending him money for the repairs, but is unsure of the cost. She realizes that she cannot continue avoiding people as they also live in the same neighborhood. She then messaged back promising to treat him sometime. At the Abyss Guild headquarters in Miami, Florida, Lee Seol observes that all the guild's executives, high rankers, and core members are present. The guild master, Merlin, greets everyone and thanks them for attending. He explains that they have convened due to a problem that poses a threat to both the Abyss Guild and God War's ecosystem. Merlin then proceeds to show a BJ Arcmage. Despite the confusion of the gathered members, Emma, the Abyss Guild's manager, takes over and begins to explain the situation. She talks about Arcmage Streamer, a man who is causing destruction to God War's ecosystem, displaying rare items and boss monsters, and eluding high-level users with ease. Emma reveals that Arcmage Streamer is intruding on the game's system, and Alpha Company has almost completely stopped moderating the game, leaving it up to the Abyss Guild to bring justice. She announces that the guild will put a bounty on Arcmage Streamer, with members able to use any method they choose to interrupt his gameplay, promising a generous reward for evidence of successful interference. One of the members raises concern about their inability to confront Arcmage Streamer due to their high levels. Emma agrees and suggests that the Abyss Guild will provide active support for everyone training alt accounts. The members of the Abyss Guild find Emma's proposal advantageous as they get to train alt accounts for free, regardless of whether or not they succeed in taking down BJ Arcmage. Lee Seol thinks to herself that Emma's plan seems reasonable, but she has an uncomfortable feeling that she cannot explain. HyeonWoo arrived at the location of the barrier rift. Gold felt uneasy about the place. HyeonWoo was certain that it was the entrance to the restricted area he had been told about by Zagara. The area had been sealed off following an incident, making it a perfect location for uninterrupted training. Without hesitation, HyeonWoo entered the portal. Upon entering the area, HyeonWoo found himself hindered by the black wind, which restricted his field of vision and impaired his hearing. Despite these challenges, he was tasked with facing off against monsters that were notoriously difficult to defeat, and expected to do so without suffering any deaths. HyeonWoo recognized the difficulty of the main scenario, and knew that it would have been nearly impossible to clear the area alone if it weren't for his unique abilities. HyeonWoo activated his combat abilities and swiftly eliminated a zombie centaur. He instructed his companions, Lucky and Gold, to lure the creature towards them. Gold impaled the monster, and HyeonWoo finished it off with a powerful attack, which led to him leveling up. HyeonWoo acknowledged the benefits of hunting in a difficult location free from the threat of player killers. HyeonWoo spotted a glowing monster, which he identified as a quest mob. He informed his companions, Lucky and Gold, not to attack it immediately so that they could continue hunting in the area for an indefinite period. In the Abyss Guild HQ, Merlin complimented Emma on her bold move. He recognized that God Wars had been a perfect game until now and expressed curiosity about how BJ Arcmage was able to manipulate the system. Emma admitted that the possibility was low, but she reminded him of BJ Arcmage's PK incident. She suggested using this event to motivate and boost the morale of the guild members, while also making it clear that the Abyss Guild would never abandon its members. Emma had prepared equipment to interfere with BJ Arcmage, which turned out to be a small park ranking. Small Park is a popular channel that creates rankings based on various stats, such as time attack, in a visually appealing format. While the criteria used in calculating the rankings are objective, The rankings themselves are unofficial and subjective. Nevertheless, Small Park has amassed over 51.32 million subscribers and is widely considered to be an absolute indicator of a player's skill. One of the popular rankings on the channel is the Under 200 ranking, which ranks players below level 200 in terms of their strength. This has led to many users lining up to see who among them is the strongest, excluding the top-ranked players. Emma mentions that including BJ Archmage's name on the ranking would attract the attention of strong players. Merlin questions whether she will let him rank in the Small Park ranking despite not reaching level 70. Emma confirms that she has given him a lot of money and expects Small Park channel to comment on it soon. Small Park announces the Under 200 ranking of the week and mentions the 999th spot. They then bring up BJ Archmage, noting that he has been popular lately. HyeonWoo, who is watching the program, expresses amazement at the news of BJ Archmage's rank up. HyeonWoo was feeling downcast and confused upon hearing the news about BJ Archmage's rank up. Others around him were also confused as BJ Archmage was only at level 70. In contrast, HyeonWoo was excited about the news. HyeonWoo was worried that this sudden turn of events might make him a target of the guilds or named players who previously didn't care about him. The Small Park channel's Under 200 ranking is considered a platform for showcasing great potential for development. Rising up in the rankings is viewed as a shortcut to becoming a star and making one's presence known. It is a highly sought-after achievement for those who aspire to achieve fame and success. HyeonWoo wondered to himself how he had made it into the ranking. He questioned if the Rising Star CEO had a hand in it, and thought that it would be unlikely for anyone else to go to such lengths to interfere with him. He also thought that the CEO was bold if it was for advertisement purposes. HyeonWoo realized that he could not be too relaxed anymore and decided to focus on completing the restricted area quest as quickly as possible. The assistant asked Jung if he had anything to do with HyeonWoo's ranking on the Small Park channel. Jung denies any involvement, stating that he knows the owner of the channel and he won't listen to him. Jung reveals that BJ Archmage defeated the Snicko Guild, making it impossible for mid-tier guilds to disturb him. Jung believes that BJ Archmage purposely made himself a target by being mentioned in the Small Park ranking, as he is crazy about attention. Jung suggests that they should ask for favors from BJ Archmage and bribe him for his support. A large number of high-level players are coming to the low-level hunting grounds in search of BJ Archmage. The crowd questions the justification of high-level players going after a level 70 player, regardless of the price on his head. However, some believe that capturing BJ Archmage could boost their reputation and potentially land them in the Small Park ranking. Despite this, others express confusion as even players sponsored by Tier 1 guilds, such as Scarf Guild, are joining in the hunt. Avid from the Scarf Guild instructs his team to focus on capturing BJ Archmage, disregarding the presence of other users in the area. He has a personal motive for catching BJ Archmage as he hopes to recover a cut-off evaluation from a previous death. A lab from the Red Snake Company greets Avid and comments on his quick response to the news. He also notes that it's Avid's first login since the game over and that he must have had some difficulty getting to the location. Avid takes offense to the comment and accuses Alap of picking a fight, which Alap denies. Avid thinks to himself about taking down his competitors if something goes wrong. He then hears someone shout that BJ Archmage has appeared. Avid ordered the archers to confirm if the person was BJ Archmage, but it turned out to be two centaurs, who they were confused by. Unbeknownst to them, HyeonWoo had used the polymorph skill to create the illusion. The viewers on the private livestream were entertained by the situation, while HyeonWoo was satisfied that everything was going as planned. Earlier, before emerging from the rift, HyeonWoo was feeling frustrated that the Scarf Guild and Red Snake Company, both first-tier guilds, were chasing him like rabid dogs to catch him. He was surprised that there were even people over level 90 gathered in the Golden Plains and wondered if they had left their conscience outside their capsules. HyeonWoo felt fortunate to have received the Chain Lightning skill from the level 70 reward card, as it is incredibly useful when facing multiple enemies. However, he also acknowledges that winning may cause retaliation from other guilds, which could impede his progress on the quest. Despite this, HyeonWoo decides to face the challenge head-on. Currently, HyeonWoo is relieved to see a larger number of players gathered than he expected. However, he also realizes that his enemies might not have known about the gathering and would not have joined forces against him. He plans to use the situation to his benefit by creating distance between himself and his opponents. HyeonWoo is confident that his speed will allow him to outpace any player chasing him. HyeonWoo expressed gratitude towards his viewers for not revealing his disguise. However, other players in the vicinity became aware of this and called him out. They then spotted two centaurs running. HyeonWoo subsequently ended the polymorph skill and made his stream public. He then used the haste spell and provoked other players to try and catch him, then turned and ran away. The players chasing HyeonWoo were bewildered by his speed as they were unable to catch up with him. Avid felt embarrassed by the situation but was determined to catch HyeonWoo no matter what it took. As Avid and Alap pursued HyeonWoo, they became aware of the possibility of being ambushed by Lucky. Concerned about the danger of proceeding without support, Avid decided to halt the chase. He cursed himself for his failure to capture BJ Archmage. Upon realizing that the players chasing him had given up, HyeonWoo decided to stop. He then reflected that running away could be a viable option if things went wrong in the future. HyeonWoo was satisfied that the events that transpired would make for interesting content. HyeonWoo observed that a few players were still attempting to catch him. He thought about potentially PKing them, and the chat expressed support for the idea. However, HyeonWoo ultimately decided against it. He conveyed to his viewers that there was no point in targeting players weaker than him, as it would bring him neither wealth nor honor. He reasoned that capturing those players would not even compensate for the cost of the polymorph skill he used. Afterward, HyeonWoo opened his inventory and inspected the quest item. He recognized that he needed to complete the quest promptly if he was to reveal new monsters and dungeons to his viewers. While ending the stream, HyeonWoo donated $10,000 to him and asked to show him more. The viewers also requested more, causing HyeonWoo to hesitate while HyeonWoo continued to donate and promised to increase the donation every 10 minutes. HyeonWoo thought about how he had obtained a lot of information about the quest and needed to play it safe. He was also cautious about ensuring that the hidden information was not revealed. Despite his reservations, HyeonWoo had created an atmosphere that made it difficult for HyeonWoo to reject the request for more content. Zagara's people appeared abruptly by warping in and informed HyeonWoo that they had come to escort him. They had received news that he had left the restricted area unharmed and that Zagara was eagerly awaiting his arrival. The viewers were left bewildered by the appearance of an NPC, but HyeonWoo was content with the turn of events. To avoid any further confusion, he made the decision to end the live broadcast and cited a developer regulation that prohibited the upload of the quest process. HyeonWoo hoped that this explanation would dissuade viewers from pressuring him in the future. They then warped back to the East Watchtower. HyeonWoo handed over the quest items to Zagara, successfully completing the quest and resulting in him gaining 2 levels. Zagara commended HyeonWoo and presented him with the quest rewards. HyeonWoo was elated to receive the Master Skill Book, which could not be obtained through monetary means. This book allowed players to train a skill to the Master rank, which can only be achieved upon reaching level 150. Reaching the Master rank for a skill requires a player to have a minimum level of 150, regardless of whether they learned the skill at level 10 and continuously used it. HyeonWoo made the decision to save the Master Skill Book for a more critical moment, and to postpone opening the legendary skill book, as he was keen to receive the next quest and keep moving. He was aware that his enemies would not stop after watching his last stream. After inquiring about the next quest, Zagara informed HyeonWoo that his men had been attacked by a mysterious man based on the clues he had provided. HyeonWoo was then given the main scenario quest, which involved finding the mysterious man in the restricted area. The hidden reward for completing the quest was Zagara's ring. Zagara directed HyeonWoo to proceed to the teleport right away and use the magic circle to cast the warp magic. Despite his interest in seeing the ring's stats, HyeonWoo was forcefully taken to the magic circle by the guards. HyeonWoo was transported to the Golden Plains through the magic circle, and although he was disappointed about not being able to see the stats of Zagara's ring, he assumed it was good as it was the reward from the main quest. As he searched for the entrance to the dungeon, other players in the vicinity who had been waiting for him began to take notice of his presence. HyeonWoo hurriedly entered the restricted area and felt that it was safer inside. With the hope of acquiring a valuable skill, he proceeded to open the legendary skill book and came across the Indomitable Will ability. In God Wars, monster difficulty increases with the level and diversity of skills used. Ranged attacks and wide area skills are the most challenging gameplay factors. Mage classes are particularly vulnerable as their casting can be interrupted by attacks, and they need more time to cast strong spells. Hence, the Indomitable Will skill has become a necessity for high-level users. HyeonWoo considered the penalty of increased casting time was preferable to having his casting cancelled. To fight against pikers, he realized that he needed to learn wide-area magic skills to counter fast short-range dealers. HyeonWoo believed that using wide-area magic spells that could inflict status ailments would be the best approach, but he also knew that these spells were expensive. HyeonWoo carefully surveyed the area and quickly spotted the quest monster. After examining the requirements of the quest, he pondered on whether he could just attack it without having to defeat it. He wondered if it would be wise to finish the quest quickly and leave before more users showed up. HyeonWoo contemplated postponing the quest and raising his level in the restricted area. He estimated the number of players he saw outside and wondered how many more would show up. He considered selling some of his items to afford the moving casting skill. Before venturing out, he decided to prepare himself thoroughly. The staff of the Rising Star channel noticed a significant number of players gathering to catch BJ Arcmage. It had been 3 days since BJ Arcmage had disappeared from the Golden Plains, yet the number of players continued to increase, and a tag play had begun to catch him. Jung expressed his disinterest, stating that it would not be fun to show the same content as before. However, the staff pointed out the success of the previous broadcast. Jung suggested adding a new condition to the show, such as having BJ Arcmage fight head-on without running away. He believed that it was time for BJ Arcmage to fulfill their request. People were buzzing about BJ Arcmage and eagerly anticipating what he will do next. Meanwhile, HyeonWoo was participating in an auction to acquire the moving casting skill. He knew that the winning bid in the recent auction for the same skill was $37,000, and he had gathered $43,000 after selling his items. HyeonWoo cursed as he killed a monster, leveling up and reaching level 80. Despite his achievement, he was not pleased as he had failed to acquire the moving casting skill. He remained optimistic, stating that he could obtain it from the level 80 card deck, confident that the War Dragon would grant him the skill. HyeonWoo opened the skill card book with anticipation but was disappointed when he couldn't find the moving casting skill. However, his eyes fell on the shockwave skill, which he found impressive due to its paralyzing effect. He believed that it was one of the best among wide-ranged area magic skills and expressed satisfaction with his find. Though he didn't get the moving casting skill, he was confident that with his indomitable will and the shockwave skill, he could defeat a 7-man party. Upon emerging from the rift, HyeonWoo began a live broadcast and was surprised to receive a message from the president of Rising Star. The president asked if HyeonWoo was planning to do the catch me if you can content like last time. HyeonWoo replied that he didn't need to overdo it and face pikers. The president then inquired if PK was possible. HyeonWoo realized that the president didn't enjoy the previous broadcast and concluded that running away wasn't what BJ Arcmage should do. He responded that there was no reason to refuse and decided that he shouldn't show fear, as he had planned to fight at some point anyway. HyeonWoo was surprised when the president granted him the moving casting skill. While this was happening, the crowd was discussing how Avit's party had behaved like thugs and were humiliated by BJ Arcmage. Avit realized that he could not afford to give up, as it would damage his reputation. 4 days ago, Avit waited for BJ Arcmage at the main gate of the West Castle after his stream ended. However, he received a message that BJ Arcmage had already left, leaving him frustrated. At present, Avit is determined to kill BJ Arcmage and is not bothered by the mockery he receives from others, as he believes it will all be resolved once he achieves his goal. When HyeonWoo arrived, Avit and his group challenged him to a fight by throwing a white scarf, which symbolizes a duel. The Scarf Guild members win honor and rewards if they win the duel, but they will be exiled from the guild if they lose. The battle between HyeonWoo and Avit began with HyeonWoo casting a fireball, but Avit used his skill to get close and interrupt him, followed by another skill. Despite the common belief that a mage wouldn't win against a melee attacker, HyeonWoo surprised both Avit and the viewers by successfully hitting him with a fireball. Viewers initially thought that HyeonWoo's fireball casting was interrupted, but Asmo commented that BJ Arcmage had learned the indomitable will and donated $1,000. HyeonWoo then prepared 2 more skills, and despite Avit being surprised by the damage he received, taking away 10% of his HP, he knew he couldn't keep taking hits from HyeonWoo. Avit decided to attack and defeat HyeonWoo immediately. Upon seeing Avit's calmness and readiness to attack, HyeonWoo recognized him as a formidable opponent. He surprised both Avit and the viewers by moving while casting. Meanwhile, Asmo made another donation and mentioned that HyeonWoo had also learned moving casting. HyeonWoo hit Avit with a lightning bolt, causing him to become paralyzed, before following up with an ice ball attack. Despite Asmo's comment that close combat was disadvantageous for an Arcmage due to reduced movement speed while using moving casting, he was surprised to see HyeonWoo's speed as he dodged Avit's attacks. What Avit and the viewers were unaware of was that HyeonWoo had used the Master Skill Book to master the moving casting skill, which explained his unaffected speed while using the skill. HyeonWoo then used Fireball and Shockwave skills, expressing his resolve to leave Avit unable to even think of catching him before finally defeating him completely. Avit closed the distance between himself and HyeonWoo, attempting to launch an attack. However, HyeonWoo remained confident, informing Avit that he had 10 seconds before the Shockwave skill was fully cast and advising him to flee if he could. Despite HyeonWoo's warning, Avit continued to attack as the countdown for the Shockwave skill continued. As soon as the countdown ended, HyeonWoo activated the skill, causing Avit to become paralyzed. HyeonWoo decided that the final blow should be special and took out an axe, much to the surprise of the viewers. Asmo made another donation, and HyeonWoo delivered the final blow, bringing an end to the fight. The people watching discussed the one-sided nature of the battle. HyeonWoo returned to the East Watchtower and celebrated his victory over the rising star of a first-tier guild. However, his celebration was interrupted by Zagara, who asked him about the unknown person they had been searching for. HyeonWoo informed him that he had found the person, but they were quite fast, and he had only managed to obtain a trace. He passed the trace to Zagara, who commented on how they still didn't know the person's identity, as stated in the letter. HyeonWoo's necklace pointed towards Zagara, who asked who made it. He revealed that it was made by Zuga. Zagara expressed hesitation in being involved in the matter as the lord of a castle and asked HyeonWoo if he could handle it. After confirming his acceptance of the main scenario quest, HyeonWoo received a ring from Zagara. He was pleased with the ring's stats, but noticed the hidden information that revealed the activation of set options once the Ring of King Tunga was equipped. In the Rising Star office, the staff was elated as they had reached 389k viewers. While this was happening, Jung was in conversation with someone about the advertisement fee. HyeonWoo bought a new bag for Hyeon and was considering whether they should rent a bigger house. He believed that his current item setting was adequate for the next hunting ground, so he didn't think he needed to spend any more money on it. He also thought that since he was now earning money, he should improve his quality of life. HyeonWoo received a message from the Rising Star asking for a meeting, which he accepted. During the meeting, Jung informed HyeonWoo that he wanted to discuss advertisement and sponsorship contracts related to the BJ Arcmage name. HyeonWoo agreed to the proposal and asked Jung what he needed to do. Jung then requested a live show for the clients, to which HyeonWoo asked if he could simply demonstrate his skills live instead. Jung confirmed that HyeonWoo could perform his skills live as he usually does. HyeonWoo agreed and promised to inform Jung of the date after making proper preparations. Jung and his assistant discussed HyeonWoo's upcoming live broadcast, where he would be hunting for small golems. Jung requested that the directing put more effort into the broadcast to impress the clients, and asked the assistant to gather more video materials of HyeonWoo compared to other users. He also suggested including clips of the top 10 guild members hunting the same golems, and requested that the assistant find clips of Merlin of the Abyss Guild, who is also an Arcmage class. While HyeonWoo was killing a small golem in just 10 seconds, some players were observing him in amazement. HyeonWoo then collected all the quest items and met with Suga. Suga told him that he would need to make a compass like before to pursue the unknown man. He suggested combining the fragment of the god who lost his name from the pendant with the trace of the unknown man, that HyeonWoo had to make the compass more accurate in heading towards the owner. HyeonWoo attributed his quick completion of the quest to his ability to identify which golems would drop the necessary items. He considered doing a show for clients of him hunting small golems, but he deemed them too weak for his current level. After completing the quest, Suga rewarded HyeonWoo with a hammer, and he checked its stats, discovering its ability to extract and transfer the abilities of an item to another item, which surprised him. Suga explains that using the golem's crystals will allow one to summon blue stone golems. These golems can be captured to obtain melting stones. The melting stones can then be used to combine two powers into one. HyeonWoo has received the main scenario quest, which requires him to use the blue stone golem summoning stone to summon golems, and defeat them in order to obtain melting stones. The option to extract an item and grant it to another item is a commonly found feature in many games. However, this system had not been discovered in God Wars until now, leading users to believe that such a system did not exist in the game. HyeonWoo considered where he would use the hammer and decided to extract from Wygar's white staff. His goal was to extract the +1 casting option and grant it to Tunga's staff, a level 89 legendary item with an average price of $120,000 on eBay. HyeonWoo was confident that he would be able to buy Tunga's staff once he secured an advertisement deal. He then noticed that Gold and Lucky have a quest. During a conversation in the Rising Star office, the assistant noticed that Jung had been constantly on his phone. The assistant suggested that the increasing interest from advertisers meant that BJ Archmage's value was also increasing. Jung agreed and explained that he had originally planned to take more time with the ads, but BJ Archmage's value had risen quicker than expected. They decided to prepare for a live showcase and announced the live broadcast time along with an edited version of the Viltgar raid. Jung titled the live broadcast, Warm Up. Jung expressed his gratitude to the attending advertisers and assured them that the live event would be starting soon. He was confident in BJ Archmage's abilities and believed that everything was set for a successful event. The broadcast began, and HyeonWoo introduced himself to the audience. He explained that he would be performing a simple warm-up for the showcase and reassured the advertisers that they did not need to make a definite decision about the advertisements just yet. HyeonWoo had no plans to sign a big contract at this event, only a few major commercials for a short period of time. HyeonWoo summoned the blue golem, which surprised Jung since it was his first time seeing the monster. HyeonWoo then announced that the blue stone golem raid was starting. He felt a sense of excitement, believing that this was the stage where he risked his fate. He also realized that Lucky and Gold's evolution conditions were perfectly suited for the situation. Lucky's quest was to hunt the boss monster while Gold's quest was to defend his master against it. HyeonWoo analyzed the boss monster's phase, which involved recovery and cloning, and created distance to strategize his approach. He decided to showcase his potential during the battle and ordered Gold to destroy the surrounding stones and trees to create more space. Then, he ordered Lucky to use life or death to take the aggro from the boss monster. HyeonWoo believed that impressing the Major League scouts would require him to show off his strategy rather than his firepower. He also calculated that the golem's swing cool time was 7.3 seconds. HyeonWoo began his attack on the boss monster, using multiple skills to lower its HP to 60%, which triggered its second phase. The boss monster then split into 3 golems. HyeonWoo ordered Lucky to take one of the golems, while he ordered Gold to use giantization and take the other golem. HyeonWoo summoned a golem, but the remaining blue stone golem clone began to run away. To prevent the clone from escaping, HyeonWoo took out Wygar's bow and released multiple skills, successfully defeating the fleeing clone. Feeling that the standard procedure was getting boring, HyeonWoo decided to change his approach and announced to the viewers that he will stop going by the standard. HyeonWoo announced that he would use Dragon Fever to fight against the last blue stone golem. If he couldn't defeat it within the effect duration of Dragon Fever, he would reveal a quest that only he knew in the current game. This excited the viewers. He then activated the Dragon Fever. HyeonWoo's performance left the advertisers feeling content, while Emma was engaged in a discussion with Gamma Pharmaceuticals, who expressed their interest in investing in BJ Archmage. Emma subsequently requested that they gather all available information about BJ Archmage. HyeonWoo defeated the last blue golem, only to have it split into 10 smaller golems. He instructed his companions to prevent the golems from escaping as he used Chain Lightning and Shockwave to attack them. However, some viewers doubted HyeonWoo's ability to defeat the monsters before the Dragon Fever expired. Asmo donated $10,000 and stated that he would give HyeonWoo 10 times the amount if he failed. HyeonWoo used Chain Lightning and Shockwave to eliminate a majority of the golems. With only 23 seconds left for the Dragon Fever, he decided to finish off the last golem with a physical attack, which led to him leveling up. HyeonWoo felt confident about his skills and showmanship and believed that the advertisers must be content. However, he acknowledged that having the necessary abilities is not sufficient without a platform to showcase them. HyeonWoo announced that he would be targeting the Centaurus Night next and would reveal the date and time on the Rising Star channel, then ended the stream. He acquired the melting stone for his quest and witnessed Lucky's evolution. HyeonWoo was given the option to choose a new ability for Lucky and selected the Unbreakable Diamond skill, which offers increased defense at the cost of being unable to use other skills while active. Additionally, Gold finished his quest and increased his loyalty to grade 6. He then selected a new ability for the Guardian and was pleasantly surprised by what he saw. As Jung read through the comments and reactions of the viewers, his assistant arrived and asked about the contract as advertisers were incessantly calling after watching the live show. Jung replied that he had not made up his mind yet and felt that BJ Arcmage was not interested in advertisements. However, Jung was taken aback when BJ Arcmage introduced a new boss monster raid without any prior information. The assistant indicated that BJ Arcmage introduced the new boss monster raid to create a greater impact, which would lead to larger bets from advertisers. However, Jung disagreed and questioned the motive behind such a bold move for just a few $1,000s. He believed that BJ Arcmage wanted to convey that the worth of his content could not be measured in monetary terms. Jung expressed his desire for BJ Arcmage to showcase new monsters or items that have never been seen before on their channel, and requested that they offer something appropriate to that effect. When the assistant suggested negotiating with advertisers for higher advertising fees, Jung clarified that they were not taking any advertisement fees. The assistant expressed confusion when Jung stated that they were not taking advertisement fees. Jung clarified that they were taking premium items and skills instead, which would aid BJ Arcmage. The assistant then raised concerns about the decreasing advertisement revenue of the company, and their need to survive. Jung thought to himself that he would match BJ Arcmage's intentions and do his best to fulfill his responsibilities. HyeonWoo was at the West Castle and he could not believe that he had acquired the Berserker skill on Gold's skill card. Soon after, soldier NPCs approached him and informed him that Suga was searching for him. They then escorted him to the Golden Smithy. The Golden Smith is a well-known location in West Castle that all players are familiar with. It is the only place where players can obtain the Tunga series, which are legendary items of the Tunga Kingdom. HyeonWoo was thrilled as he looked at the legendary items on display at the Golden Smithy. He even thought about how much money he could make by selling them, which would allow him to rent a better place. He was particularly interested in the Tunga's staff, which he planned to buy once he received the advertisement fees. Suga took the melting stone from HyeonWoo and explained that the soul metal obtained from the Dorito mines reacts to the owner's mana, and if the mana becomes more powerful, the reaction will also become stronger. He then proceeded to start the process of imbuing the melting stone into the necklace, asking HyeonWoo to hold it tight. As the process began, HyeonWoo was amazed to see the trace of the unknown person flowing like a liquid. After the necklace pointed in a certain direction, HyeonWoo realized that he now had a compass to locate his next target. He expressed his excitement at being able to track down what the necklace was pointing towards and begin his next hunt. Before leaving, the HyeonWoo checked the upgraded features of the necklace and saw the skill called Replay. This skill enables the user to reuse a previously used skill while disregarding the cooldown period. It is a unique skill that has never been discovered with a skill card that is not an item option. Even Asmo claimed that the only way to access the Replay skill was through an item option, and offered a blank check to anyone who could produce the skill card. Therefore, the skill is also referred to as the blank check. HyeonWoo expressed excitement after acquiring the Replay skill, and Suga wished him good luck on his upcoming quest. HyeonWoo received a main scenario quest to eliminate the Centaur Knight, who was located in a restricted area. The quest promised a reward of the Tunga staff, and an extra prize would be granted if the task was accomplished with a party of 6 or fewer people, which was the Tunga's black staff. HyeonWoo was intrigued by Tunga's black staff and recalled his acquisition of Wygar's white staff. He was convinced that the black staff possessed superior options when compared to Tunga's staff. After calming down, HyeonWoo considered the hidden reward condition of defeating the Centaur Knight in a party of 6 or less. He realized it would be a challenging task, likely requiring the skills of a level 90 professional player. HyeonWoo reflected on the boss monster of the Golden Plains, the Black Centaur, which had twice the mobility and power of normal Centaur monsters and was known to cause many users to struggle. HyeonWoo speculated that the Centaur Knight was even stronger than the Black Centaur. He noted that Lucky, under the effects of haste and lightning speed, could match the Centaur Knight's speed, but once the lightning speed wore off, the Centaur Knight would catch up. Moreover, with a life or death skill, the fight would continue until one of them died, meaning that Lucky could be chased until he perished. HyeonWoo acknowledged that although Lucky had used the life or death skill before without getting into danger, he couldn't guarantee Lucky's safety this time. Like and subscribe if you want me to continue the next chapters, and thank you for watching.